how long does it take to get your E-2 investor visa to come and live and work in the United States while you grow your US business? We're going to talk about that question today. It's a hard one to answer, and it's a question I get every single day from my clients. So I'm going to talk you through how I help my clients think about this question so you can think a little more about what this means for you and your business. All right, let's go. Hey there, I'm Kaylani Hawks Villafranca. I'm a U.S. immigration attorney with an office in Austin, Texas, and clients around the world. Many of my clients are U.S. investors who have U.S. businesses and are applying for E-2 investor visas to come to the U.S. and run their U.S. business. Every time I speak to a new client, they all ask me the same thing, which is how long does this take? It's a really hard question to answer because processing times change rapidly in the consulates. With an E-2 visa, you are generally going to apply for your visa directly at your home consulate or embassy. You're not going to go through U.S. immigration, USCIS based here in the United States. Each consulate and embassy has their own distinct processing time. So how long yours is going to take depends on how long it's taking in your country. But let's think about a few things. So what I tell my clients is there are 3 processing times we need to keep in mind. First, how long is it going to take you to prepare your business? Your business is not eligible just with money in the bank. You have to actually open your U.S. business, have a U.S. bank account, and really spend money on qualifying business activities before we can apply for your visa. Some clients come to me already having spent that money. They're already ready. Other clients come to me at the very beginning just thinking about their business and they haven't done anything yet. Each person and each business is going to take a different amount of time. And I would say, please expect that it will take longer than you think for you to put your U.S. business together. I speak to people all the time who think, in 2 to 3 weeks, I'm going to have the business formed and I'm going to have the bank account open and I'm going to have spent all this money. And that rarely happens. This involves government processes, filing, bank accounts, just takes longer than you think it does a lot of times. But everybody's different. So I'll have some clients who hire me and a month later, their business is ready. And some clients hire me and a year later, their business is ready. So it depends on you. So first, how long is it going to take for your business to be at a place where you can apply for the visa? Second, how long is it going to take me to put your case together? And so you need to know how long it's going to take your attorney to put your case together. I ask my clients to give me 2 to 4 weeks to put their case together after they've given me all their paperwork, all their documents, all their information. So once I have everything, then I sit down with the case, I strategize, I put it together, I present it to my clients for their review and feedback. I fix anything that needs to be fixed, make changes, and we finalize the application and then we file it with the embassy or consulate. That takes 2 to 4 weeks after we have all the info. Each law office is going to be different. And so you should ask your attorney, what should I expect about processing times? Maybe somebody can do it in a week. Maybe somebody else is taking 5 months. You just want to get an idea of the processing time in the office where you're working. So first, how long does it take you to get your business ready? 2, how long does it take your attorney to prepare your case? 3, how long is it going to take the consulate and embassy to give you an interview? Oof, and that's the one that is so hard to know. But we have some clues. So they don't tell us. If you've interacted with immigration in the past, you know that USCIS online publishes processing times for different case types. We don't get to know that in these cases. That's because all of these cases go directly to the Department of State, which is the agency over all the consulates and embassies. The Department of State does not process their wait times. We don't know. Sometimes we get lucky and they'll tell us. So sometimes when I file a case, they will respond and say, thank you for filing. Please expect 3 to 4 months for an interview. That doesn't usually happen. And when it happens, it's usually wrong. So I'm thinking about a case I filed last September in Mexico City, where they told us to expect 3 to 4 months. They still haven't called us for an interview. And that was like 11 months ago. I ended up refiling the case in a different location that was moving more quickly, and we got the case approved in about 2 months. But the estimate that Mexico City gave me was just wildly wrong. So if you get an estimate from a consulate or embassy, do not take it at face value. The more realistic picture of how long things are taking is the experience that attorneys are having in real time. So I file most of my cases in Mexico and other Latin American consulates. So I have a really good idea of how long they are taking. I have never filed a case in Japan, so I have no idea how long they're taking, but I have colleagues who do. So if I got a new client who wanted to file in Japan, I would reach out to my colleagues and say, what are you guys seeing? What's going on right now? How long are they taking? And as attorneys, we maintain our networks of other attorneys we know and trust, and we share info, because it's the only way we can get this info, because the government doesn't share it with us. So you can reach out to the consulate directly and ask them. I have an email out to a consulate right now to try and see if I can get more info from them. Sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't. You can figure out what other people are seeing, but keep in mind that that's going to be a bit of a delay. So like, for example, say I filed a case 3 months ago in CUDA What Is, and I just got an interview. Well, great. I know cases that were filed 3 months ago are taking 3 months, but I don't know how long a case filed now is going to take. Probably 3 months or a little bit longer, because I know historically that CUDA What Is keeps getting a little bit longer every month. They were at 2 to 3 weeks earlier this year. Now they're at 3 months. It seems to be growing. But the thing to keep in mind about this process is that it is a black hole of information. So if anybody tells you that they know for sure how long it's going to take, I would be skeptical about that. They can tell you historically, like, oh, historically, this has taken about a year. Historically, it's taken 2 weeks. And this is what we're seeing right now. But I think it is really important for you to go into this process knowing it may take much, much longer than you expect, or much shorter than you expect, and you need to be ready. For both situations. You need to be ready immediately to go to your interview, or you need to be ready to wait a year in your home country. Your kids need to be enrolled in school. You need to have a plan. You need to know how you're running your business in the meantime, because we don't have any control over it, and there's very little we can do, and there's no process to expedite an interview with the consulate. In extreme emergencies, we can ask for an expedited appointment, but it's discretionary and it's not usually granted. Especially for businesses, for new E-2 businesses, it's very hard to prove an emergency sufficient for the consulate to expedite your visa. So something else I want to be clear about right now is that COVID has really changed the processing of E-2 visas around the world. So just like everything else in the whole world, the Immigration Service is having a harder time than it was having before COVID. Things were closed for a long time. That means wait lists grew and backlogs grew, and that in a location where it used to take 2 to 3 weeks, it's now taking 4 to 6 months. So you should expect that wait times are much longer now than they were 3 years ago. Another thing to keep in mind is that there are certain consulates and embassies that haven't yet staffed back up for their E-2 visas. The E-2 is very specialized, and it's much more complicated for a consular official to understand than other kinds of visas. So consular officials who decide these cases have to have very specific training. There are many consulates and embassies around the world right now that are not processing E-2 cases at all, even though they're supposed to. For example, Colombia has a treaty with the United States to support E-2 visas. The US Embassy and consulates in Colombia have not given an interview for an E-2 visa in 2.5 years, not since the pandemic started. We have no idea when they will start again. And when they start again, we have no idea how long the backlog is. Many people have chosen not to file. I've spoken with many Colombians, shared this experience with them, and they've decided, I'm not going to file right now. So that might mean there's not a huge backlog because people are choosing just not to file at all. But it also may mean people have been filing for 2.5 years, and when they start processing again, the wait long is going to be super long. In that instance, you can choose to file elsewhere. Canada will accept applications from third-party nationals. That means you're not from the US, you're not from Canada. You can file in Canada. They will let you, but their processing time right now is at least 6 months. And since they've recently made it known that they will accept processing from third country nationals, I bet their wait list is about to get a lot longer. Keep in mind also, you have to have a visa to get into Canada. If your country requires a visa to enter Canada, you'll need to make sure that's in order to be able to process your US visa at the embassy or consulate in Toronto. So that's something important to keep in mind. I don't want to sound too negative about processing times for E-2 visas right now, because I'm still filing cases. We're still getting approvals. They're still moving forward. But it's a lot harder than it used to be, and it takes a lot longer. And frankly, it's embarrassing for the United States that it's taking this long. We have people who have put money into businesses, and we should be supporting them. But the Department of State is doing the best they can with the resources they have available to them right now. And we just have to work within the world as it exists right now. So keep in mind, if you apply for an E-2 visa, your home country processing times are going to be a critical part of your experience. Mexico is actually a pretty great place to file right now, comparatively. 3 to 6 months might sound like a long time, but compared to 2 years, it's pretty fantastic, and it's really doable. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about filing your visa in Mexico. Many places around the world are still processing and are able to tell you how quickly things are going, but many aren't. So it's really important to work with a trusted attorney who has some experience in this area, who has trusted colleagues that share information about the consulates and embassies around the world, and to really work with somebody who isn't guessing and is going to really guide you on this with a lot of knowledge. If you want to talk to me about your E-2 visa, give me a call. I've got my number here below, and I hope to talk to you soon. It'd be my pleasure. Bye.